lifting heavy for you today.
Yeah, fine. Just tired.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's okay. I gotta hit this button, don't I? Okay. It's okay. It's all right.
Hmm.
It's okay.
All right.
Yeah, Sundays are weird doing this. I don't know why. Because I think we have the whole weekend afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
Sundays. It's gonna mix it up a little bit. So I guess I get
Yeah. Well, those people that might not be able to get on Saturday to come on Sunday, blah, blah, blah. You know.
it. No, it's all good. It's all good.
And I think if you want to comment, you can too. You will comment at Civil War Breakfast Club if you're signed, well, depending on how you're signed in. If you're
I don't even
signed.
know if this is even gonna work anyway.
Oh, okay.
For
Good
some
morning,
reason.
Amanda. Morning, Ben.
Oh, I guess we are going. Okay. Let me turn
We
this thing
are.
on. Okay.
And I think if
Oh,
you
I
want
get
to comment, you can too. You
listen
will
to you
comment at
talk.
Civil War Breakfast Club.
Okay. All right. I'll have this thing on. All right. Anyway, so what's going on, Mary? What's going on? You awake today? Looks like a little too much loudmouth soup for you last night.
God. Good
Uh,
morning. Good morning, Jeffrey.
it's happened to the best of us. It's happened to the best of us. So it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, so what's going on? We've been a Sunday morning. This is kind of tough. We had been a fun weekend for us so
Hmm.
far. But
Went to Harper's Ferry yesterday, which is beautiful. It's very busy. Anybody in the area, if you go to Harper's Ferry, you have to get there by like 8 o'clock to get parking. We got there at 9 and parking was pretty much done by that
yeah,
point.
oh, stupid thing. Yeah, that's the problem with Harper's Ferries. I thought maybe with you know with the government shutdown, there'd be less people, but there was a ton of people. I mean, the shuttles are still running. And it's
Yeah.
so funny. We commented on it's one of those little issues, but we mentioned on Twitter yesterday, whatever the friggin' hell it's called now.
X.
Yeah. And then it's like every comment is, are the shuttles running? Are the shuttles running? Like saying, just read the other comments.
Yep.
I don't have time to comment. No, it's pretty funny, but it's good though. It's nice. Harper's Ferry, man, that was nice. We walked up Maryland Heights yesterday.
Yep.
That's a thing. That's a real thing right there.
Yep.
But it's a beautiful time of year to go. I mean, it was perfect. It was nice and crisp. It got a little warm during the day. Found our breweries, Harper's Ferry Brewery, then went over to
Yep.
Sharpsburg, went to Potomac Brewery, and came back into town. So it was a good day. I mean, unfortunately, I was planning on being in Antietam all day yesterday, but things unfortunately didn't work out with the whole shutdown thing. So
Yep.
we got an extra day to go run some shenanigans. So it's all good. It's all good.
Yep. Calvin's on here from Michigan. He's deep into harvest season. He's been listening to old episodes while combining beans.
Oh, that's a that's cool.
That's
Welcome.
cool.
Definitely combining beans is something I didn't expect to
Yep.
hear today. Well,
Morning,
that is
David.
that's pretty good. No, it's good though. It's good. We had some fun, you know, yesterday, and we'll get out and about today. But we did the episode this week on Laura and Antonia, and I thought that was cool. I mean, it's fun because like some of those episodes, you learn these things from visiting places, right? And so
Yep.
we went out to Fairfax a couple of weeks ago, and we got in seeing all the Antonia and Laura Radcliffe sites. We got to
Yeah,
check
that
that
was
out.
that
So
was
it's
thanks
pretty
to,
cool.
I mean, and our episode was inspired by our trip that we took with our friend John Gentili a few weeks ago. And he's actually on here. He's like, "Oh, you guys went to Harper's Ferry. Nice. Do you know if the shuttles were running?"
You know what, John? No, it's good. But
He's
I
a
was I
watching.
was actually surprised the shuttles were running. I don't know what the hell's shut down and what's
Yeah.
not, to be totally honest. Um, but I think it's cool. And since John's on here, John was definitely the inspiration for
Yeah.
our episode on Ford and Ratcliffe because you know a little bit about him. I mean, I knew a little bit about Antonia Ford, um, and not so actually. I knew more about Laura Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
But as you get into this, you realize, I mean, and it's not a hyperbole to say, um, if it's not for those two, the legend of Mosby is totally different. I mean,
Yeah.
his reign on Stoughton is a totally different deal if it wasn't for the Ford family in Antonia. And then if you look at Radcliffe, I mean, I don't want to say literally saved his life, but she probably
Yeah.
did.
Hmm.
He's
I would
probably
agree
would
with
have
that.
been captured. So what happens if old John Mosby gets himself captured and gets put into a prison, and how that changes history, and all because of a couple of young 20-something girls who took up the cause. So
Yep.
it's cool to visit the sites. And we were out there with
Yep.
him a few weeks ago. We went over to for Mosby's Rock. We went over to Radcliffe's grave site and went to Frying Pan Church and all those places.
Yep.
And for the most part, they're still there, and you can go see these. And it's one of those historical places where I think people don't realize what actually happened. You
Yeah.
hiding that yawn.
No, I'm listening to you.
I mean, you've been awake for almost 20 minutes, so how
Oh
could you possibly be
God.
tired? It's
Oh
true.
God.
It's true.
I was gonna say, Jeffrey said he loved the latest Spies episode. He also said, Darren, I like the shirt. There's always next year for the socks. Future
Always
looks
next year.
good.
Well, they're a year ahead of schedule. I didn't think they were going to make it this far this year. Next year, they're going to be
I
awesome.
didn't think the Indians were gonna make it, or sorry, the Guardians, because like I was like, there's no way. And we
That's
had
all good.
the biggest comeback ever, which is awesome. And I've been still wearing my Cleveland stuff
That's okay.
around.
No, baseball hope springs eternal. That's good. Sox
Yep.
be back next year. But yeah, but it's good that people like the episode because it's really cool because you can relate to people like that. And
Yep.
they weren't people out really going behind enemy lines and all this other stuff. But they were people who just were reporting what they saw, found ways to get
Hmm.
the information to Mosby or Jeb, and that's kind of it's kind of like the understudied. And some comments we had, I don't know where the hell I read it. Maybe it was just a fake Newton of my imagination, Mary. But I thought some people were talking about um the fact that no one ever even heard of them before. Like people have
Yeah.
heard of Belle Boyd and they've heard of Rose Greenough, and they've heard of people like that. But for my money, I'm going to put Antonio Ford, and Laura Radcliffe up there with them because of how important they were. But I think people, even in the Civil War community, had never really even heard of them before. In some cases,
Yeah.
never heard of them.
I never had until we were with touring around there with John last year. Um, and we went into, I think it was the home of Antonia Ford, which is now, I think, a law office. And that was pretty cool. Like, to see that.
Yeah, no, it's good because you can actually walk in the footsteps of real history, and that's what's good about some of these places. In a lot of the old cities in the Northeast, they keep a lot of the buildings. They just reuse them. Like we were saying before, where Howard had his picture taken in
Yep.
Boston is a McDonald's now,
Yeah.
and it's cool because a lot of other southwestern cities and places like that would have torn the buildings down,
Yeah.
and so you can go in there and you can order your Shamrock Shake, Mary, in the same building where your boy Howard got his picture taken,
Yep.
right? So that's what's cool about it. But I think what's awesome about the local history is you can, speaking of Fairfax, this is on my mind. You can go to the courthouse and you can imagine what that telegraph tent was, and you can see how the town's still laid out. And what's
Hmm.
great about John is he's a local and he gives you the nickel tour of what's going on in the area, probably as good as
He's
anybody.
he's an amazing tour guide for that stuff. And I love how like he was like all had his folder of notes and stuff.
You got to do it right. You got
It
to do
was
it right.
awesome.
But that's cool. But yeah, but I think that any of the spy stuff I think is fun because people love espionage and they love spies, and I think it
Mhm.
resonates with people differently. But I think when you look at some of these places you can still get into today, it's a blessing, especially where we are. I mean,
Yeah.
going into Harper's Ferry yesterday, and a lot of those buildings are still there. They're still open. You can still walk around.
Yeah.
We ended up going up to Bolivar, which I've never been to before. We found
Hmm.
Stonewall Jackson's headquarters
Which is
during
now a
the
private home.
right during the 1862 Maryland campaign of the for the Battle of Harper's Ferry, and you can see a lot of the sites. And what we didn't do is we didn't do the real hike in Maryland
No.
Heights, which takes you all the way back to the Confederate guns placements, which is going to be it's like 5 miles each way, and that's a hard no without any water. So that's something
Yeah.
for the future. But you can still visit these places. And look, everybody loves Gettysburg and loves
Yeah.
Antietam, places like that. But for my money, the sweet spots are the local towns where a lot
Oh
of this stuff
yeah.
happened, like the Fairfax of the
Yep.
world, like the Chambersburgs of the world. Or you can still see it. You can still talk to people who had probably had generations ago had relatives there who can tell you some cool stories.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. And John says that he's very lucky that the house is still standing. Laura's house was originally now where the Acme hardware store is. Her family moved out to Centerville when the war began.
You can still go to the William Gunnell House and you can still see that.
You can still see
Um,
where what's his face got spanked.
yeah, yeah. But it's cool though. You can see the stuff. It's pretty neat to see. That's
Speaking of
pretty cool.
Mosby,
Well, yeah,
he's
there he
behind
is.
me. He
Speaking
just
of
heard
which,
his name.
anyway, it's crazy.
He heard his name.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we can do his thing. But
Yeah.
no, but it's neat though, and it's fun to be able to this time of year be able to get out and walk around. And it seems like here in Gettysburg, it seems like there's a ton of people in town. And it's
Yeah.
October. October is the big. it's the big Halloween month here, and everybody's out in the streets, and there's a lot of cool stuff happening in town. As are other
We've
places.
been going for walks in the evenings and seeing the people on the ghost tours is really cool because that's money coming into the town and that's a good thing and that's going to bring people into restaurants hopefully and all that. And I mean, I've seen some comments recently just blasting the ghost tours on social media and I mean, whether you believe it or not, it's a source of income for the town. It's something that families can do together in the evenings because there's not much to do here in the evenings because you can't go on the battlefield. And the other thing too, it's like people are like saying like, well, I guess they don't come there for the history anymore. It's like people were coming to Gettysburg before the battle, and it
So
wasn't for
does that mean if you come for history, say you're one of these real, like one of these CWI people or Lincoln Symposium people, and you step in a blue and gray for a burger, you're not there for the history because you're enjoying something. The fake outrage is hilarious, and I don't care one way or the other about the ghost thing, but I do know, like you said, it brings people into the
Mhm.
town, and if you're a 16, 17-year-old kid, at night here in Gettysburg, and you're here with the history for your family, there's not what else you're gonna friggin' do.
Yeah.
Everyone here goes to the bars at night. You can't stumble into Gettysburg Eddies at age 18 and drink yourself blind like Mary does. You gotta find
What?
you've got to find something to do, and the ghost tours are a great way to do it. And I know, look, I've overheard some of the stuff they say, which is just factually completely wrong. And that, okay, you know
Oh
what,
yeah.
fine. But again, it's entertainment. You know what?
Yeah.
I can watch Star Wars and I don't think they're really aliens shooting each other in space. Well, maybe there are, but I don't, maybe there aren't. But I can enjoy it, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, that's how I feel too. And O'Carl just said he's on here from Colorado. He said last week I met the great grandson of Pope. Yes, the Pope of Second Manassas.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's neat because there are people in history who, you know, have relatives. I mean, I grew up in the same town as Nathaniel Banks, and he's got an infamous, reputation in the Civil War, as does John Pope. But they're still cool. There's still people worth
Yeah.
studying. I know in my hometown, people look at Nathaniel Banks like he's U.S. Grant because he's a local, and
Yeah.
besides, Fred Smurlus and myself, no one else has come out of Waltham, so might as well root
And,
for him.
well, and you met the what is it, the great great grandson of Beauregard?
Yeah, he used to work. I used to work with him. His name was Sean, and he knew who he was, and he actually looked a little bit like him too. Kind of neat.
Wow. And he's like, yeah, that's my great great grandfather.
Well, I asked him, and this is going back 20 years now. I asked him. I said, by any chance, are you related to Pierre Gustave Toutant Beauregard? And he's like, oh, Civil War guy. Yeah, actually, I am. He's my great grand. I was like, holy crap! I'm like, wow. And he's a northerner. He's from the town of Framingham, Mass. So he ain't no Johnny Reb, but he was found himself as direct relation
Wow,
to
that
us.
would be interesting to know how which one of his kids he was descended from.
I don't know. Who knows? But that's cool though. That's pretty neat when you can
That's
run
it.
into.
But well, it would have been one of the guys, obviously, if he's still got the name Beauregard.
Well, they're
So
definitely Robert E. Lee descendants.
Jeb Stuart.
There's Jeb Stewart. There's probably a ton of them, but I mean,
Howard's descendants still live in Vermont, I think, because
right? But
there's places
but I
for them
think
to be
I
buried in
think
the
there was like a
grave.
Robert E. Lee, like the fifth or the sixth or something, still kicking around. And Jeb Stewart was the same deal. And I remember we were over Hollywood Cemetery when visiting those graves, and we saw Stewart's, and there was Jeb Stewart Jr. and then another
Yeah.
Jeb Stewart Jr. because the first one died young, and he wanted a junior, so he had another one named him the same name, and so that's so if you have history, you might as well.
And then there was I was seeing it was funny. I was looking at the website or the Facebook page or something for the Sherman home in Lancaster, Ohio. And I guess some of Sherman's descendants came to visit and they all had red hair.
Oh, really? They
Yeah,
all
they
talk like Catherine Hayburn too.
that's probably what he talked like.
Well, they say
That's
that a
how
high
Rob
pitched
that
voice
that
like that.
well, that's how Robert L. O'Connell said that he likely talked because he had this high-pitched voice. He probably talked like Katharine Hepburn.
That's the thing too. Then allegedly, and we've talked about this before off and on. There's allegedly an audio tape of Sherman speaking somewhere that no one
Yeah.
knows where it is, and that would be cool to hear. I remember the time, and I'm sure people have heard this, but to hear Booth's brother, I
Yeah.
mean, talk about this is Edwin now, talking reading Shakespeare, how creepy that sounds.
Yeah.
Speaking of creepy, what did we do last night, Mary?
We watched Birth of a Nation. That it's on
Yeah,
YouTube now. That is we got about I think we got halfway through and we're like
yeah,
We
We
need to
watched,
take a break.
yeah, we found the original 1915 version of Birth of a Nation. I've never seen it. It's the first one we played in the White House, and I know it's been banned and it's all the stuff that's on it. But we watched the first half of it, and anytime you watch one of those creepy silent movies when you know everyone's dead, it's kind of creepy in itself.
Yeah,
But that movie's something. And the thing about it, when we watched The General a year or two ago, right?
that is such a good
The
movie.
thing the thing about the Birth of the Nation movie is, and we got to the point when the war ends. So we're about an hour
Yeah,
and a half. And the movie's 3.5 hours long. We're about an hour and a half in. Is the battlefield scenes? You could, and this is the same thing with The General. We talked about this last night. You
Mhm.
could see, you could watch that scene, and you could actually think it's video of a battle
Yeah,
in civil, because it is that accurate. In as far as because the soldiers who are fighting, they're not older, heavy set men with that reenactor cut clothes.
yeah.
These are emaciated young kids who are in these scenes, and it's that black and white tinny thing, and it's obviously silent. But I mean, it's one of those things. If you're a Civil War historian or a Civil War buff, whatever, you kind of have to watch it.
Yeah, and it is
Um,
tough. It is a tough one to watch because I'm
but
like,
but
oh
but
God.
it's
Like,
but you can see. I mean, obviously, there's no there's no more lost causey thing ever put on the planet than this movie, and
no.
that's okay if that's what you want to see. But it is very cringy with the race stuff. But it's I mean, the original name of this movie was The Klansman, to tell you what this movie is really about.
Yeah.
Um, but we watched it for the first half, and it's certainly interesting to check out. So it's on YouTube and it's free. And so
Yeah,
we
it's
we
it's basically a commentary too of how society was at the time and how they thought about the Civil War. And it's like, whoa, this is and it's a tough watch.
they
You
definitely
know,
make it that the union of these evil monsters coming into
yeah,
town supposed to take place in Piedmont, South Carolina, and it's not very historically accurate with some of the battles, but
no.
um, like the group that comes to seize the town, it's all black soldiers,
Yeah.
and they come in there and they're ripping everything apart and terrorizing all the people. So I understand what you're getting, but
Yeah.
as far as history goes, as far as cinematic history and history of it, I mean, it's something to watch. It's something worth watching. But if you just understand, it's you'll watch that movie, and I mean, the people who made Blazing Saddles will blush over this one.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it's like,
but you check
whoa.
it out. I mean, we'll probably finish it later on tonight, probably, or tomorrow. But it's something.
Yeah.
It ain't Gettysburg, I'll tell you that. You
No,
know,
no. Interesting question here from Jeffrey. So that's a good question of the Civil War figures. Whose voice would you like to have heard? Did Lee sound like Martin Sheen?
no, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, he probably had a slow drawl, and you and I have talked about what Howard's voice probably sounded
I
like, or
think
people like
Howard
that.
Howard
It
had he had a higher pitched voice. I think he sounded like Casey Affleck. I think that's how he sounded.
I
Casey
mean,
Affleck.
it's tough. The thing about the problem with these movies, and we've talked about this before, is these movies make these people out to be people that they're not, and Lee is a big case of that too. I mean, it's in people. There's a couple misconceptions about Robert E. Lee, and and there's that one that he's this dour type of guy, but he was someone who liked to laugh and he would
Yep.
joke and have fun with his people. The other thing about Robert E. Lee, he was dreadfully cheap with
Yep.
money. I mean, and it makes sense because he grew up. His father had squandered the family fortune. He grew up basically in a poverty situation. He ends up marrying Mary Custis and getting money, but he was someone who there's a reason why he didn't free those slaves, the Custis house, right away, because he needed the money, even though he was
Yeah.
supposed to. And you read some of the bios about him. It's one of those strange things about these people. But the movie Gettysburg kind of shows him as this oh my gosh type of laid back type
Yeah.
of guy, and that's not really the case either. But I liked it. I liked his portrayal. I thought his portrayal in Gettysburg was better than Duvall's and God's Generals, because
Yeah.
I mean, mainly I like Martin Sheen better. Um, but yeah, the voice is an interesting thing though, because um, like we said before, I think we've talked about Sherman having that Katharine Hepburn like voice we've kind of made
Yeah.
fun of over the years. Um, And Lincoln, of course, had that high pitched, tinny
Pitched.
voice, which
Yep.
who knows? But yeah, I think it'd be cool to go back in time and just hear like the conversations, like the War Council meeting over here
Yep.
in Gettysburg, and just to hear their voices. That'd be kind of neat to do. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Well, Patrick Claiborne, after he lost those bottom teeth in that injury, he apparently spoke with a lisp.
Yeah,
And he also like tried to hide his Irish accent, but it would still come out at times. Chaim Granberry spoke with a very, wasn't it loud, deep voice?
that's what they said. They said he spoke with a very deep. I mean, he was also tall. It wasn't just his
Yep.
hair. You know,
Yeah.
he was a tall guy, and I don't know, but it'd be kind of cool. But I remember hearing Edwin's Booth voice, his voice on that old, grainy thing, and it just sounds so creepy. You know
Yeah.
what I did one time? I actually listened to that at his gravesite in Cambridge, Mass.
Wow.
You want to talk about creeping yourself out? Go over to the cemetery in Cambridge, Mass, and go find his gravesite, which is easy to find, and sit there next to the gravestone and play the audio of him speaking. That when he
That's
and that
creepy.
just goes right through you. It's just a creepy, creepy thing, and definitely a Mr. Marble situation too. You freak yourself out when you do that.
Yeah.
But I've always been fascinated by that stuff. That's always been kind of cool to imagine what they sounded like. And this guy had a high pitched voice. This guy had a low pitched voice. But the accents are interesting.
Yeah.
Like
I often wonder if Howard had a Maine accent.
from where he was, he's from the town of Leeds, so he wasn't down Easter, but he probably would have had a generic accent. The people who talk like everyone in every Stephen King movie, those are the down Easters. Those are the
Oh,
ones,
okay.
Kennebunk and places like that. Same with Boston. I mean, if you're everyone who's in every Boston movie sounds like a Kennedy, and that's
Yeah.
not how most of us talk. We
No, it's
don't.
not.
Some do, but no, no.
Jefferson, from all the different actors trying it, I'd like to hear Lincoln. I think Daniel Day-Lewis was close. I think he was too.
I mean, no one knows. I mean,
No.
maybe he might have sounded like Rich Little. Who the hell knows what he sounds like?
Yep.
You know, but it's fun to speculate. These are stupid things you think about
Oh
sometimes.
yeah. Frank's on here. He said, "Good morning and happy 161st anniversary of the Battle of Altoona Pass."
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Is
he's
that
always good.
Atlanta campaign?
He's always good for the anniversary.
Yeah.
I wonder if he knows these things or he just Googles them. I bet you he knows them.
Oh, I think it is. Amanda said that I like to think that Howard had a similar accent to mine. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
got a very faint Maine accent.
yeah, she's got a little bit. When Amanda gets really drunk, it comes out kind of like me.
God.
Not that ever happened. Um,
God, Bill Etzkorn's comment about Garnet.
uh, okay, so you have to read that.
I said, voice box sounded like a hummingbird as it flew across the field.
Oh, Garnett,
Just,
Garnett, Garnett.
MJ mentions that she's in Winchester right now, and she went to the Stonewall Jackson headquarters, and she said that it was very lost cause. The war was referred to as the War of Northern Aggression,
Oh yeah, no, that's
saying
a
Jackson was a saint, but that where that area of Virginia is, Jackson is hero
no.
worshipped.
I love Winchester. We've been there a bunch of times, and the Stonewall Jackson Cemetery is my favorite place that you can go. There's so many cool places to go in the town of Winchester. Old Town is fantastic anyway, but the cemetery is really really cool. You know,
Yeah, no, Winchester's very cool.
they have the George Washington headquarters here too, at the very
Mhm.
end of the road.
Yep. And I think Sheridan's headquarters is there too.
Sheridan, yep, he's right downtown. That was the one we famously at Cedar Creek you rode out.
Yep.
But when you go to Winchester, you got to go. There's the Battle of the Third Winchester, which is a
Hmm.
walk. You got to walk that whole thing. Then the Star Fort is the fort that from the Battle of Second Winchester with Milroy when he defended the town right before Gettysburg. And
Yeah.
you can still go to Star Fort and you can still see for the most part the earthen thing. The ramparts, but Winchester's a cool little place. I've always liked going to Winchester. Stay at the George Washington Hotel too.
Yeah.
That's the place to stay.
There's, what was I gonna say? We haven't talked about what we did last Saturday.
What do we do last Saturday?
Fired cannon.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like,
I thought we do last Saturday. Sometimes the rabbit falls asleep on the wheel here.
so
Yeah, so
we
that,
we
that,
the Boy Scouts were having a just like a jamboree or whatever or meeting or something. Anyway, there was like 2,500 of them there camped out by where they filmed the movie Gettysburg, like the scenes for Pickett's Charge and stuff. So we were, well, Darren was originally asked about a week and a half ago if he could come help out some friends of ours they reenact as artillery. And so he said yes. And then we shockingly ran into one of them at the mine on last Friday night. And I mentioned that I was going to tag along just to watch. And he asked me, "Do you have a uniform?" And I said, "Yes." And it's union. And he said, "You can come help out. We need someone to run the powder." So that's what I got to do initially was run the
You
powder
took
to the cannon.
you took to that. I could not believe it. So, basically they put us at the number 4 position, which we got to
Yeah.
pull the lanyard. And they teach you how to do it. You hold a certain way. You have to pull it behind your back and twist just right. And it's not complicated, but at the same time, you don't want to misfire because there's 200 Cub Scouts. So
Yeah.
basically, what it was a Boy Scout type of, they called it a camporee, where a
Yeah.
couple thousand Boy Scouts were here from across the country. It was pretty cool because they gave them all kepi hats and these little wooden
Yeah.
rifles, and they would kind of work their way through the field. It was in the site where they filmed the movie Gettysburg, the movie field. And what would happen was you would go there and they'd have one artillery group. Or we were the artillery, but they had infantry. They would fire in the muskets and doing line firing, all the volleys. They'd come over to us, but there was 2 guns, and there was probably 300 or 400 Cub Scouts per session. I think there was 6 or 7 sessions we did,
Hmm.
but you got to do it just right.
Yeah.
And it's not complicated, but the fear of screwing up in front of all the kids is real. And so I did it a couple times, and then our friend John, who runs the artillery,
I was originally in the number 5 position, so
right.
I was running the
So
powder
you
up
were
to
the
the,
runner, running the
yeah.
powder up. And so then finally she's like, "I'm gonna have Mary fire the cannon on one of the last ones, but don't tell her because she'll say no if she has time to think about it." I'm like, "All right, so I'll keep my mouth shut." So right before we're about to do it, he goes, "All right, Mary, you're number 4. You pull the lanyard." And I mean, admittedly, I thought you were gonna kind of turtle, but you're like, "All right." And then next thing you know, you're like, "Gun 1 ready." I was like, "Holy
Yeah.
shit!"
Well,
You
they
like,
told me, they're like, "Okay, tell them you're ready." And I
but
said,
you,
"Gun number 1 is ready."
but you were like, and then you're like, boom, you're like, ah! I was like, holy shit. But you took right to it. And that, I'm telling you, you fire a cannon, that's a thing. I mean, that's a, you want to talk about a rush, the power, and you have to turn your head a certain way so that the thing doesn't hit you in the face.
Yep.
But that was cool. But we did that last Saturday, volunteered to help them out for the day. And definitely a good time.
It
Absolutely a good
was
time.
it was fun. And like I sat back down after my first time and this one guy sitting next to me, he was like, "Was that really your first time firing a cannon?" And I said, "Yeah." And they were kind of all shocked because I took to it so quickly. And what I liked about it is that you're working as a team together. You have the 4 positions who are on the cannon. There's a guy with the big Q-tip thing and the guy with what's it, the wormer, the guy that puts the fuse in,
Mm-hmm.
and then the number 4 is the lanyard, the position that you and I each had, and then there's number 5, which is the the powder. It's not called a powder monkey. It's basically a runner. Um, and there's other positions too. But anyway, you all work together. And so when I put the lanyard in, I would nod to the guy that was dealing with the fuse, and you nod at each other. And then you say gun number, whatever it is, ready. And the gunner gives you the order to fire, and you have to put your whole body into it. Like our arms were sore after we did it. It's actually very physical. And you have to go like that, and then it goes off. The third time I did it, it didn't initially go off at first, so I hadn't pulled hard enough, so I had to pull again.
Yeah, the when you pull the lanyard, it takes about a second to go off. Like you
Yeah.
use like the musket, you pop, there's maybe a half a second.
Yeah.
And so you pull. Like the first time I did, it was like, oh crap, it didn't. All of a sudden, it just goes boom, it just goes. And I'm glad we did it. They were happy we got to do it too. And we spent the whole day, and then kids would come over, and we had all we had all the artillery, we had the case shot, the
Yeah.
canister, the 10 pounder. We had everything. And they would come over and ask us questions. So it was something different. It was something cool. It was.
No, it
I
was.
mean, I don't know if I'd want to, be a regular artillery. I'm happy with what we do with the
Oh, I am happy
BMI
with what
thing,
we do
but it was
too.
still it was still it was still cool, something different here and there, something
Yeah.
different.
Libro mentions at a thrift store for $4, I found the box set of Shelby Foote's Civil War narrative. I remember Foote in an interview with Brian Lamb telling him he reread Proust's Remembrance of Things Past after completing a major project. And Libro said he started reading it this week and it reads like a 19th century novel and he's really enjoying it.
Shelby Foote.
Yeah.
I mean, Shelby Foote. I mean, the thing about him is that he's very famous because of the Ken Burns documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of in the middle between historian and novelist. Like,
Yeah.
his Stars in Our Courses book on Gettysburg is really, really good. He wrote a book on Shiloh, which I didn't like at
Yeah.
all. Book I just thought it was bad.
Yeah.
But he doesn't put any footnotes or any sources of his stuff. He's very matter of fact about it. He's entertaining. I mean, you read that trilogy; it's pretty good. But
Yeah.
again, I mean, he's a big Nathan Forrest guy.
Yeah.
He's a big Jeb guy. He's a Southerner, so of course.
Yeah.
But understand he's not really somebody you're going to go out and quote source stuff to.
No, no, that's, but he still has a place in the telling the narrative and the story
So
of
of
the
course,
Civil
yeah,
War as well.
he's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always liked Shelby Foote, but I think when if you're watching the movie Gettysburg and you're reading Shelby Foote stuff and that's your Civil War knowledge, then that you're missing a little bit. But I like him though. He's good. We have his
Yeah.
books, but
Yeah, we do.
I've pretty much read everything he read and everything he wrote. So I have no problem.
Jeffrey says, as a Cub Scout, I got to sleep on Seminary Ridge one year. It was where the horse tours are now. For a small child, that sang very Civil War hook deep. Lucky kids to have you guys to inspire them. Oh, thank you. I was talking about that with Ray. He's an older gentleman. He's actually our friend John's father, which we didn't realize till the end of the day. So Ray and I were both running the powder to each cannon, and I learned a lot from him. And he said, I hope this hooks some kids into reenacting because we're losing kids. We're losing the young people, and we are. And you know what? It's
Yeah,
because there is definitely an old guard with the reenacting that is very hardcore, that takes it way too seriously, that scares people away. But then there's also people that, you have fun, but you also need to, if you're going to reenact, like know your impression, like know what you're doing. Because if you go completely the other way, then the old guard's not going to like you either. Um, but I was talking to him too, and I learned a lot from him about not just safety around the cannons, but just, he was telling me, he showed me in the box where we cut the powder, he showed me the different lengths that you would cut the fuse to determine how far it would go. He was showing me that. He also told me he was in the movie Gettysburg. He's like, yeah, I was one of the 20th Maine deserters. I was one of the Confederates that died next to Garnett, and I was in Pickett's charge. And he said he had a great time. He said all the actors were awesome too. He said he got to talk to Richard Jordan, which
oh
he
yeah,
loved.
no,
So he was such a nice guy.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Um, oh yeah, I got to meet Jeffrey last weekend at Dunker Church. It was good to see him.
Oh, that's right.
He's all dressed up in his Patriots clothes. Him and his wife. It was good
Oh,
to
really?
see.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
was good to see. But it was fun. No, it was good. No, they're big Bills guys. But that was good. That's fun. I've had a handful of people coming through there,
Mhm.
doing the volunteer stuff over in Tatum. So it was pretty cool. So it was cool to see people who you recognize. So they're good
Yeah.
folks. So yeah.
Oh, Larry said, good morning. Love the episode on the Spy Girls. Well, thank you.
Oh
Um,
yeah. No, that's yeah. The spy thing is fun. I mean, we've done a handful of episodes on the spies. We've done the which who the hell we did the one on Cushman. We did the one. There's another one we did, didn't we? I thought we did a second one
Edmonds.
along the way.
Jeffrey just made the angry face.
Yeah, it's okay.
He's a Sox fan. You got to give him that.
Nothing wrong with that. It's good, dude. It is what it is. I mean, it's okay. Pretty soon they'll be.
But yeah, we are going to be reenacting here in a couple weeks at Cedar Creek. So if anyone's in the area, come out to Cedar Creek. They're doing the reenactment. It's a really, really fun time. But yeah, like we've been reenacting for almost a year now, and we both really, really enjoy it. I've only had one. I was walking down the street one day, and I had my uniform on, but I didn't have my hair tied back. So I had my kepi on, and my hair is really long. Anyway, this one guy comes up to me. He's dressed up as a Confederate, and he said something to me. He was like, oh, yeah, girls did try to hide themselves and fight in the war. He's like, but don't worry, I'd figure you out if I had you on a surgery table. And I was like, dude.
No, they're that look, call like it is. I mean, there are some creepy people in the world, you
Yes.
know, and walk into the porta potty at a reenactment in the middle of the night. You see that's when you see them for the most part. You
Hmm.
know, But
Yes. But yeah, it's a great hobby to get into. Yes, it is expensive, but you can find stuff used. I mean, our BMI group is amazing. They found a uniform for me that was basically, people get out of the hobby and they sell their stuff as well. Oh yeah, Bill, that's one. Less than a year, you're already chief of staff. Yes, I am chief of staff at Cedar Creek. So
well,
I am the law.
as Han Solo once said, "Don't get cocky, kid."
No, I'm not going to. I don't honestly don't know what I'm doing. I have to
Other
figure it out.
chief of staff's gonna be walking home.
Gina said that she used to reenact for years and she still has her dresses. I have one of my dresses too. I have dresses as well.
No, the thing about it, we've been blessed, to do this for about a year or so now, and there's been some cool places. I mean, sleeping on the field at Gettysburg at Spangle is really, really cool. But I mean, some of the best moments of this, and it isn't as much as firing a musket on Gettysburg was a rush, or firing a cannon over here was really cool. It's sitting on the fire and just, chewing the fat, hanging out in the middle of the night and talking. That's what's fun about it. If you're going to reenact, you got to stay in the tent overnight and do it. You got to experience
Mhm.
it because it's so much fun. It just is. And no, so it's just, I know a lot of people do it. Cedar Creek is one of the big boys, and a lot of folks that we know are going to be heading down there for this one.
Yep.
So, like we did last year, we saw Spencer,
Yep, with Ray.
and Dominish. We were riding the
Yep.
hay wagon together. That was a fun weekend.
Yeah,
That's coming up.
Spencer and Ray. Spencer's got to be close to 80. Ray is like 83. And they're going to these reenactments. And Spencer was in Gettysburg as well. Remember that he told you he stepped on the charge at Pickett's charge and he
In
went
the
flying
movie.
in the air?
So our friend Spencer, he was a former ranger here in Gettysburg, and he's retired now. He likes to go to Lost Lane, so whenever we want to go to Lost Lane, we text him, we go over with him over there, and so he was in Pickett's charge, and he was told, walk straight, don't look at the camera, and he's like, they have this flying camera that no one's seen before. He goes, of course I'm going to look at it. How can I not look at it? But he's like, they said, don't step on this thing. This is the charge. Of course, as they move, they start to slip, and he ends up stepping on it. Goes flying in the air, and it was totally um, not planned. He wasn't supposed to be the guy who does it. It's supposed to be an actual actor or a stunt man who does it. So if you see the movie, you can see Spencer flying in the air and the look of fear in his face because he didn't anticipate that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Uh,
cool. That's fun.
AQ's on here. She says good morning. She says your mother says hello.
Oh, good. Well, AQ, you tell her I said hello too. Tell her she's, we had a great day, um, great weekend here. But you tell her son is doing well down here. Tell her I picked up all her empties that she left in my backyard. I threw them all away. The Gettysburg Eddie staff has apologized. I've apologized to them for her performance of drinking that whole pitcher that night. So we had a good time with her. So but
She's awesome.
it's definitely good people. Definitely good people.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, the reenacting is definitely something that I never knew I would get into it. I was always like, do I want to do that? Because I was always, but and for a female doing it, it's very like the world is for the most part very accepting.
Well, I'll give you credit for that because it's not if there is somewhat of a depending on the group a
Yeah.
gatekeepery environment with
Mm.
this. It's definitely a boys' club,
Yeah.
but I mean the people we know are all great who do it, and I think once you get to be seen a few times, they accept you. They're always going to be the d bags who've got issues, you know,
Yeah.
and that's always the thing. Like anything else, whether it's reenacting or you go to a ball game, there's always someone who's a jerk.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've noticed people have accepted you pretty well. I mean, when because you wore the dress at Cedar Creek,
Yeah.
then you put the blue uniform on. I forget what was somewhere along. It was Bentonville, wasn't it?
Bentonville was no, the first time I wore the uniform was when we did the Christmas weekend. No, the first time I
Okay.
wore it was Remembrance Weekend. And then I wore it for Christmas weekend, and then I wore it at Bentonville. That was my first time reenacting, I guess, officially as a soldier, private.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
yes, I am just a private.
yeah. But that's well, nothing wrong with that. I mean, but you can enjoy the whole thing. It's a great way to learn history. I mean,
Yeah.
you're seeing a different aspect of the history.
And you do have to know the history. You can't just put your uniform and dress on and, make TikTok videos.
No, there's that. That's always that. Um, But I think for the most part, you learn a lot, experiencing what the soldiers experienced and all that, and so it's fun
I
because
draw the line at drinking water from a stream, though.
no, you're not going to do the hardcore stuff. But I mean, it's what's good about it, and people who do it know. I mean, it's not like you break out the radios at night and you're
No, no, you
it's
like you don't. Like some people bring their like they play Civil War music on like fiddles and flutes and whatever. And like, Larry said reenacting is fun, but groups, some of them in the Liberty Rifles, I'm sure some of the Liberty Rifles aren't like this, but some Liberty Rifles, they ruin it for new people, and they do. There is like because they want you to go full hardcore, and some people are just trying it out, so they don't have everything they need. And I agree with AQ. Like when you put the dress on, you feel pretty.
I know I do.
Yeah, yeah. Edscorn just said sick burn. I think he's referring to my TikTok comment.
Oh, no, but everyone has it for different reasons. I mean, there are people who really want to go out there and they want to get in the weeds and they want to fire the guns and they want to do that. And that's cool. What's good about that whole thing, it's got something for everybody. You can sit back and you can just chill in camp, and you can experience that. You can get on a line, you can fire, you can do a little bit of everything. And I think, and it's a very respectful type of group, but it's a good
Yeah.
educational group. And I think, I'm surprised that more people, like more historian type people, don't take advantage of doing this because I mean, our friends who do these podcasts and stuff, I don't think any of them have ever done it. And I think that
It's
they
not
can,
for everybody.
no, it's not, but I think they can gain a lot from it because when you're talking about soldiers in camp and talking about this and that, it's one thing to read the diaries. It's another thing to do it. It's kind of like going to the battlefield and walking the field versus reading about
Yeah.
it. Being in those footsteps and living how they lived, um, it gives you a different appreciation, I think, and I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah. Like Gina's on here. She reenacts, she does the dresses and she does like Victorian teas and stuff like that. And she's a historian as well. Um, Paul says my first major reenactment was First Manassas back in 1986. It was
Yeah,
106 degrees in the shade. Carl mentions my wife was one of the first vivandière. Am I saying that right? To take the field back in the day.
what I always found, and I've said this to you, and I said this to other people as well. I always imagine, like, so the Civil War, for the most part, for these people, these soldiers, would be the worst experience of their lives. Death and violence and misery and
Yeah.
suffering and being hungry and being cold, the most miserable experience of their entire life. Can you imagine you come back from the dead 160 years later and you find out that there are these people who are reenacting your worst experience for fun?
Yeah.
Think about the worst moment of your life, okay? Probably 2016 World Series, okay? And down the
Thank you for
road,
that memory.
and down the road, you find out there's some girl with glasses reenacting your miserable experience
Yeah.
for fun. That's the thing I've always got a kick out of it, from that aspect of it all. But it's more educational than people give it credit for. People think all you do is sit around and just it's you play soldier the whole time, but it's the conversations you have with people.
Yeah.
For the most part, people know their stuff. I mean, some don't know as much as they think they do, but they know enough to have conversations about things, and you learn from just hearing these conversations, which I think is great. I think it is.
Yeah. Well, Bill says when you get into it, your perspective changes. Darren After Dark brings a new experience to the battlefield.
Still gonna be me. Still gonna be me.
But Bill Pike's wondering, did you go to Kennedy Junior High?
I did go to Kennedy Junior High. Where the hell did that come from?
Well, he's the guy that knows your. Is he the
Oh,
one that knows your? No, that's Hal. I can't
I
remember. I'm
went.
getting them
I
all mixed
went.
up.
I went to Northeast Elementary. I went to Kennedy Junior High School, and I went to Waltham High School. Kennedy was right at the bottom of the hill. And when there was two other junior high schools, Central and South, and we hated them. Hated them. But I was a
Wow.
Kennedy guy. Yeah, we could bring back the old feeling. Yeah, I did go to Kennedy. I went to Kennedy. That's the
Um,
most random thing ever, but yes, I did.
Jeffrey says Darren wears those pretty dresses to watch Pats games, especially when they play the Bills.
Well, it's tough though, because it's tough to put the dress on with all the rings. So it's weird, but you get used to it, I guess. Yeah, it's all good. No, but I enjoy the reenacting part of it. I do. I'm glad and Bill's on here. He's the one who got us into this. So we definitely appreciate it. We're definitely
Yeah,
happy to do it and learn more. Now I'm looking forward to Cedar Creek now. I'm looking. And we got the parade here in the next month
yep.
too, Mary.
Which hopefully I'm going to march in.
Yeah, you
Want to go
should. You
to?
should. I mean,
No, I want to.
there's something I will say this for the people, the Gettysburg people who've not been to the Remembrance Day parade. It's the coolest thing. You get to walk. You get to walk with all these blue uniforms down this, and you see the march. It's just such a rush. It really, really is. It really, really is.
Oh, Gina works for an airline. She's got to go because her lunch is over.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, hope you have a safe flight. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. And Hal mentions that Littleton, Mass. 300th in 2014, there was a local Confederate reenacting group. And he
You
said
know
they
what?
were,
I find some of them, to be honest, as he mentions that, some of the most hardcore Confederate minded people like that are from the North.
yes.
Um, I've noticed that. And so a lot of the reenactment groups, these Confederates, a lot of them are Northerners who they decide to be Confederates for the week. And some of them, I don't know if it's the old Boston rebel mentality, if that's where it comes from, but there's a lot of people I know back home who are, they appreciate the Confederacy because they just gave their middle finger to the man, and
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of that for a lot of people.
But there's like, what was I going to say? It was interesting being at Bentonville, walking through the Confederate camp when everybody was packing up, and all the Ontario license plates I saw. There
Oh
are
yeah,
a lot of Canadians from, Ontario specifically that reenact Confederate.
yeah. But I remember we were talking. I was over at Pittsers Woods down here. This is a couple of years ago now, and there was a group from of Georgians. There were Georgians at Gettysburg.
Yeah,
But there
really?
were, yeah, but there were Georgians, and so I'm like, oh, well, where are you guys from? And they go, we're from Vermont. Really? He goes, yeah, we reenact as Confederates because it's just more fun.
Yeah, and some people and people that do, they're not all lost causey. Like they're just like, they can be very much tied to the union or whatever, but they just choose to reenact. And sometimes that's the where that's the only unit that they can reenact with is a Confederate one. Paul mentions they had 8 Canadians in their unit. That's cool.
Yeah.
I knew a woman in my hometown who um she would reenact. She was a nurse. So she did like a nursing impression. Her name was Colleen, and she had to give up the hobby a few years ago because she got like promoted to really high up in
Mhm.
the hospital or whatever. But she had all these different dresses, and she had been to like the Gettysburg reenactments, and her reenacting unit I think was based out of Michigan.
Oh, I mean that's yeah, that's awesome. You get to do all that. And I will say the Confederate officer uniforms are clean. I mean,
Mm.
that's you. It reminds me a lot of the red coat uniforms back home.
Oh, I hate the red
But I
coats.
mean, just as far as pure clothes, though, like
Yeah.
a really, really perfectly well dressed these Confederate generals with, it's a gorgeous uniform. It just is. I mean, if you call a spade a spade, I mean, it's exactly what it is.
And see, back when I was looking at getting into reenacting groups, and well, you and I, our friend Ben was trying to get us to join his group, but ended up joining the BMI because they're closer to here. Ben reenacts in Rhode Island, but I remember looking into one group in Michigan. This is before, I don't know, this would be about 10 years ago now.
Mhm.
And they were like, yeah, we don't take women. I'm like, all right.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I do. I mean, it could, because theoretically you had to hide it to get in, and and I look. I can respect the people the hard campaigner people who really wanted to be tight and legit. But they got to remember too is by the time you got to 1862, 63, you were wearing whatever you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
You were firing whatever you can get your hands on. So if you have a jacket that doesn't have 11 stitches on it, you know, that's the thing too. You wore
Yeah.
what you had. And I think that the problem is that you want to be authentic, but at the same time, you want to be somewhat realistic too. I mean, you're grabbing any shoes you can.
Yeah.
Um, there's only been one guy, and Bill knows who I'm talking about, who wears no shoes at this thing, right?
Yeah.
So if they want to be real, these some of these soldiers could take their shoes off, but let's not get crazy.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, and it's like, for the most part, people are great. It's a lot of fun to do. And Paul says, I no longer reenact, but I wear a uniform and doing staff rides on occasion. Fifth Corps is the best corps.
I mean, I never thought I'd ever reenact. To be honest, I never thought I'd have a uniform for presentations and stuff like that, and I just acquired them over time. It was kind of like a puzzle. I wanted to put a uniform together. So I buy the pants, I buy the brogans, I buy this and that. And so it's good to have, but I never thought I'd do it. But it's a great hobby. All this stuff is because again, it's one of those things. Most people, and we've said this before, most people in normal life don't live in this mentality.
No.
I don't know too many people in my job who I can talk Civil War with. And so when you're getting put yourself in these situations, these reenactments or whatever, you're on like-minded people, and you could have nothing to do with them. They could be complete opposite of every aspect of your life. But at that moment, you have a connection point, and
Yeah.
you can enjoy that, and that's what's cool about it. I enjoy
Well,
it.
what I like is, one of the guys at the artillery last weekend, he pointed to the crescent moon on my hat, and he was like, "Who is that again? Like, which division is that?" And I said, "11th Corps, 3rd Division, under Carl Schurz."
Mm-hmm.
So it's,
Well, because you know your stuff though, and admittedly, most people do. We've heard some. I mean, we've heard some silly stuff out there from different things from different people.
yeah.
Um, who was remember that time that someone told us that Francis Barlow was shot by his own men?
Oh God, that guy.
I mean, you're gonna have.
I
I don't
was
know
like,
if
oh,
AQ is still
dude,
in here or not, but
she
I
is.
think we talked about that. But that whole thing, and there are some people out there who they are, but
Yep.
again, for the most part, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah, and and I was happy, like when I was doing the Canon, I did the last demo with them. And it was just to a very small group, and there was a lot of girls in the group. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope, they see me doing this, and like, maybe it'll inspire them to get more involved in history or something, to show them that a girl can do this, right? Like, um, not that I like was girl powering it or anything like that, but still it was fun to do that and see the girls in the audience watching and see that they were interested in this and learning something from it as
Well,
well.
the best thing about it, to be honest, in all seriousness, is the kids. The kids get all
Yeah.
excited. They'll come up to you and ask you questions and this and that, and you can tell that. I mean, most kids love anything military. I mean, they do because it's soldiers, the guns, the uniform. I
Yeah.
remember when I was a kid. Um, but when they come up to you and ask you questions, they're legitimately excited.
Yeah.
Remember that kid at Bentonville?
Yeah. Beefcake?
Beefcake, yeah. I mean, that was really, really cool. And that's the stuff you do. We don't pretend like we don't do like this podcast or any of this stuff for like educating people. Well, I'm going to teach you
No.
something. No, you do it because you want to share stories and have fun with just having a conversation with like-minded people. So whenever you get a chance to do that, especially with young people, is really, really
Yeah.
cool. The problem, Mary, and you know this as well as I do, is when the people take themselves too seriously with this stuff and forget that they're not the star of the show here. It's the people they're talking about who are. And a lot of times those lines get a little blurred here.
Yeah.
They think that they're more famous than they really are with the stuff, and they ignore, But that's part of the cost of doing business. It was
Hmm.
pretty good.
Yeah. No, it was really fun. And Beefcake was funny because we asked him who his favorite general was, and he's like, Dan Sickles.
He was funny because he's like, um, and okay, Johnny, who's your favorite general? Expecting to hear,
Yep.
I like U.S. He goes, I like Dan Sickles, and he did the right thing at Gettysburg. And I was like, holy crap. And all I can imagine, North Carolina, is our friend Hessler has an illegitimate kid down here.
Yep.
And so, and he's like, he did the right thing. He had orders, but but he knew his stuff. And the kid must have been 10, 11,
I
if that.
know. Yeah.
And his father brought us beer. So there's that.
Yes, that was awesome. I was like, whoa.
You know,
And Anthony Salem brought us beer too, remember?
he did bring us beer.
He's actually he and his wife are coming to town in a few weeks too. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it's nice. I mean, they don't teach. I have no idea. My kids are long older now, but I have no idea if they even teach Civil War anymore in school. Probably not. If they do, they gloss right over it.
It's very glossed over. Gentili said, I reenact as a ranger, so I sleep in my house.
Oh yeah, we know all about Gentili, how he is.
He's a fancy boy.
Oh yeah. You know, I need my latte. I need 103 degrees just right with a perfect amount of cream. When you get done with the lawn, get my coffee.
Jesus.
That's me reenacting Gentili.
He's not like that.
No, he's not. But for real, but it's fun. It's a good group. But again, anytime you get any kind of ability to go and learn and talk to people, it's the best part about this. We've met so many cool people in this field with this stuff. People you probably never would have met.
Yep.
Realistically speaking.
No, I don't think we met Gentili because of this.
I never
The
would have met you if
X-Scores.
it wasn't for this.
I know.
God, think how close that game.
Oh.
Avoid the whole thing. No, but seriously, that's what's really great about it. People are really smart with this stuff, and they're really cool. You can enjoy a good conversation. Like I said, you could be a complete different type of person of every aspect of your life, including Yankee fans. I can get along with them perfectly in this field too, so it's great. So I appreciate it. It's definitely fun.
There's only two Yankees fans I really don't get along with.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about too.
Yep.
But it's all good. It's all good. But it's good because a lot of times people look well, we talk to will give us ideas for these podcast stuff too. And we got a whole
Mhm.
bunch. We got to do Red River. I know that. There's other ones we got to do.
Yeah.
Glorietta Pass. There's a whole bunch of on the list.
We should really do Battle of Altoona sometime too.
Altitude is a good one.
Is that Atlanta campaign?
I got to look into the details about that. The problem with the Altoona is there's not a lot. It's sometimes these things are tough to find sources for. Like this one we just did on
Yeah,
Antonio
there
Ford.
was
There's
like
not a lot. You have to.
no.
We were lucky. I was able to cobble a bunch of stuff together, and a lot of it was because the trip we made to go see John down there at Fairfax.
Yep.
Was when you visit places, it's a lot easier to figure it out. Like we went to go see Wahatchee down at Chattanooga, right?
Mhm.
That it opens things up a little bit to understand a little bit more. So that's the hard part about this is I love to do so many of these episodes on random things, but it's just not always there.
So Altoona Pass was, oh, excuse me, Atlanta campaign, Bartow
Yeah.
County, Georgia. Um, it's not a huge battle.
No, and a lot of these aren't. 1861, 161st anniversary was 1864. You know what other is a great battle that this last episode made me think about too is the Battle of Drainsville,
Hmm.
which is one of the two battles in Fairfax along with
Yeah.
Chantilly. There's some other skirmishes here and there, but that's one. You look at a 9,000 man battle because two armies ran into each other looking for hay for their
Yeah.
horses. I mean, that's how most of these things start.
Yeah. And just reading some of this about so General French was the Confederate general fighting there. 706 Union casualties, 897 Confederates.
Mhm.
Um, Course was the Union guy. So yeah, we'll have to do an episode about that sometime too.
Yeah, I know that there's definitely that's the whole thing. I mean, admittedly, I like doing the episodes on the small little things, the small battles. Um, and that's what's neat about these is you can kind of get into it a little bit because and
Mhm.
we've said this a million times now is you understand the bigger battles a lot better when you learn these smaller ones because then it all makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the fact like Gaines Mill is a great study because you realize that Robert E. Lee rolls out the same game plan in almost every battle
Yeah.
he does because you see the patterns. Echelon attack, flanking, hit. It's the same thing he does every single time. Um, and eventually they caught on to it of how they did it.
Yeah.
And when you look at some of the original, he was an old dog trying to learn new tricks with this stuff too. Because I mean, when he graduated West Point, remember West Point was an engineering school when it came out. Sylvanus Thayer was the primary superintendent for all those years
Mhm.
when they were younger, and it was the engineering school in America. You know what the
Yeah.
second engineering school in America was after
Was it VMI?
no, it was RPI Rensselaer.
Oh, really?
Until RPI in New York came around, West Point was the school to go to if you want to be an engineer. And so all the top professors, all the top students, that's why they all graduated and became engineers.
Yeah.
That's why you went there. Because you had a professor named Dennis Mahan who was teaching you how to build forts
Hmm.
because they figured, okay, the United States, if we're ever going to get into wars, we're going to be attacked by the ocean. So we're going to
Yeah.
build. That's where Fort Fisher came along, Fort Warren in Boston Harbor. That was all taught. And then lighthouses was the other one they would try.
Yeah. And
Guys
General
like,
Meade built a
right.
lot of those on the East Coast.
But that's the whole thing. So it didn't really become military. Like if you went to West Point, you were infantry, you were like bottom of the graduating class.
Oh yeah.
Bottom, right?
Yep. That's where I would have been.
That's how it was, right? I think they call it the goat. I don't know if they still do or not, but they call it the goat. But
I think it was the goat.
Yeah, but that's what it was. And so when Lee came up, I mean, he was still an engineer, but he had natural ability to lead
Yep.
um as far as fighting goes. And then of course the wars change as well,
Yep.
strategies.
Frank mentions that Altoona Pass was one of the few battles that featured the Henry repeating rifles, and I think he's
Mhm.
also re referring to Altoona Pass. It's the battle that inspired the saying "Hold the fort."
Yeah, the Atlanta campaign. What's great about the Atlanta campaign is you can study so many different battles
Hmm.
on that route from Chattanooga to Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
We rode that ride that time, and you go from Dallas to Resaca to Ringgold to Pickett's Mill to Knob Church. I mean, you can go right down the line, and you can do battle. Almost every exit on that highway is a battlefield,
yeah.
which is really cool.
Because we saw Jonesboro, that was the first one we saw the sign for it. We're like, well, let's go check this out, and that's where they had the Claiborne Cemetery.
That was south of Atlanta. I'm talking about from
Oh
Chattanooga
right, yeah,
to
the
Atlanta,
Atlanta
right?
campaign.
Yeah. So when you're talking specifically about that, not that so much the when they got to Atlanta, but just getting to Atlanta,
Hmm.
and of course Kennesaw. That's the other one.
Yeah,
And then you had Peachtree Creek come along. You had all these battles that took place as it went on. But at the end of the day, you're talking about mile for mile. That's probably the best highway for battlefields in the entire country.
yep.
Has to be. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just
Oh
guessing.
yeah.
It has to be.
No, no, and we saw Pickett's Mill. We saw, Ezra Church, which is in a suburb of Atlanta now, but
Yeah, but
it's
the route though along the way, and it follows. I guess it's Highway 80. I forget what highway it is, but that highway that
75.
75, the direct route. That's right, because when you were in juvie, you would drive down
Yep.
75 and you see Kennesaw,
Yep.
and
Juvie.
you never pulled over.
That's what my parents' band is being called, is Juvie.
Yeah, but almost every that's what the general is. The
Hmm.
train. It's got that museum there. So it's if you're ever in an Atlanta area, if you're from Atlanta, you've been there. But if you haven't been, take a vacation for Atlanta. Fly into Atlanta and go right up the route. Spend a couple nights, and go see Chickamauga, Chattanooga. Chattanooga's a great bar town,
Oh my God, it's awesome
absolute
there.
great bar town,
Yep.
and you can see all these battlefields. Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. You can go to the Georgia Winery in Ringgold, but while you're there, go to see the bat where the Battle of Ringgold Gap was. You can see the monument for the 137th New York there as well,
Hmm.
because David Ireland fought there. You can see the awesome Claiborne statue, which is my favorite statue from the Civil War.
No, that's a nice one. It is, but it's a cool place in history, and the battlefields are for the most part pristine.
Yeah.
Chickamauga is a great battlefield to visit. And I know it's one of the big boys, but you go to Chickamauga and then you go up to Lookout Mountain, go see that vista up there. Maryland Heights after is the best vista after Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
Overlooking Harper's Ferry, by far the best.
Yeah. Lookout Mountain is
Lookout Mountain, but
amazing.
you can drive to Lookout Mountain. That's the
Yep.
difference.
Yeah.
To
Well,
watch
you
you
could probably
hustle
walk up
hustle
to
up
it.
that hill, complaining the whole time like you were yesterday.
I didn't complain.
This sucks.
I did.
You know,
Charlotte said she just got back from Chickamauga.
was it pouring out
That's
like it always is there?
It always rains when we go.
No, Chickamauga. They have that visitor center, and they have remember that room that has all the rifles that guy donated. And
Yeah.
that's where we met our friend Ed Lowe,
Yep. Yep.
Colonel
And his
Colonel
wife.
Colonel Lowe. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Very nice people. Yeah, Charlotte was there over the anniversary. I've always wanted to go there for the anniversary of it.
Hmm. That's a great battlefield, and it's like Chickamauga is. I know they lumped them together, Chickamauga, Chattanooga, as far as battles, but it's obviously its own battle. Um, but it's one of the more pristine ones, and
Yeah.
and I love Gettysburg. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, there's so many monuments. Looks like a cemetery sometimes.
I
Everywhere
know
just
that's
you
the
know,
different.
it,
And if you go to Chattanooga, Chickamauga, you're going to the first
and
battlefield.
there's not a lot of monuments. I mean, there's some. I mean, they're
No,
they're more regimental markers, but to my knowledge, I could be wrong. There's no general statues there,
there
right?
is no general statues at
Right.
Chickamauga. The closest one is in Ringgold Gap to Patrick Claiborne.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
so
only
it's
one.
all soldier stuff, all regimental stuff. But like you go to Culb's Hill here, you go by Spanel, go up the hill. It looks like you're in a
Yeah.
cemetery. It's
Yeah.
just monuments every 5 feet, which is good. Gettysburg has the largest outdoor statuary in the entire world,
Yep.
and
And
so it's
I,
it's cool to see. But if you want to go see battlefields, the ones you've been to that look the same, obviously Chickamauga, obviously Antietam, are the
Pickett's
ones that come
Mill.
to Pickett's Mill come to mind. I think Antietam. We drove through there yesterday. We were coming back from Harper's Ferry. I just think it's my favorite as far as overall because I think it's an important. It's the most important battle.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any turning points to hit that phrase because there's a million turning points in war. But as far as importance goes, I don't think it's anything more than Atlanta, anything more than Antietam. Those two battles.
Yeah, mine is definitely, I mean, Gettysburg obviously is a favorite, and I'm getting to learn Antietam more because of you, which is good. But Chickamauga for years has been, I don't know, I just felt like it was so neglected,
Well,
and just
you've
not
always been a
talked
chicken.
about.
You've always been a chicken. Remember your old Chickamauga days? Remember
Yeah,
that? You've always been a Chickamauga. As long as I've known you, so you've always been Chickamauga. It's always been
yeah,
your favorite battle. And what's good about it, everybody has their own favorite battles, and there's a whole bunch of really, really good ones. And the one that I have not been to yet that I really want to go to is Shiloh. But the
yes.
problem is, it's like one of these battles where you just you have to want it. It's way out there, um, but it's it's a good effort.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do.
Um, so Carl mentions go to Pea Ridge, almost no monuments, as well as Wilson's Creek. We want to get out there too.
Right.
Um, oh yeah, and AQ just mentioned she's like just a selfish plug here. She's got an article coming up about Mudge in Gettysburg Magazine.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, Charles Mudge, he's a fascinating guy. Second Mass, I told you that one of the guys from my former home, I lived on Cape Cod. He was Sam Alton is buried right with the corner bottom of my road, and his name's on the Second Mass monument. So that's cool. And
mhm.
staying at Spangler's right in that spot in those tents was creepy. That's one of those you wake up in the middle of the night, you go, oh crap, I gotta pee. God knows what the hell I'm gonna see.
Yeah.
It's
Or
Spangler Spring.
here.
Yeah, but it was pretty
Yeah.
low, not eventful, but it's really really cool seeing these places.
No, it is. Oh, and then Carl said Gloria Pass is great to visit as well. Yeah, we want to get out to all those ones. I found out recently that my coworker, her husband fired a cannon at Shiloh. He was I guess, part of a group there, which was pretty cool. And our friend Bjorn, who works at Abraham Lincoln Bookshop in Chicago now, really, really nice guy, knows his stuff about Shiloh. I think he was a ranger there, and he still does tours there. And I think he's done them with Western Theater Tim Smith before as well. But Bjorn and I had a great conversation about Sherman and Sherman's memoirs because we're both, we've both studied Sherman quite a bit. And the thing about Sherman's memoirs, regarding like the Atlanta campaign, is you're going to get a very different view of the Atlanta campaign than you are if you read Howard's memoirs. Howard's memoirs are very different from Sherman's when it comes to the Atlanta campaign.
Oh yeah, no, there's no. Well, we talked about that last time as far as the all the memoirs, what they are. They are what they are. You enjoy them for what
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. And it's same with you read accounts of like obviously Howard wasn't at Chickamauga, but his recounting of so it's around this time in 1863 that Howard and Slocum and Hooker are on their way west because of what happens at Chickamauga. It was on September the 25th that Howard wrote his wife and said, I'm being sent west. And this is, less than 10 days after Chickamauga's happened that he finds that out. Um, and then, so he made it, I think it was by about October 10th. They were in Bridgeport, Alabama. I
Mhm.
think that's where they sent them to. Now, Slocum had to leave and go to Vicksburg because he didn't want to work with Hooker. And apparently, the two of them fought the entire time on the train. So that must have been a really fun trip. Um, but he said, like, Howard had to, like, at one point, his memoirs, the recounting of the journey out west is funny because he said that they would have to telegraph ahead to towns and have them close the bars down and not sell any booze because the soldiers would be given booze and they would be getting drunk on the trains.
Of course, it's the
And
same people.
I guess some of them were riding on top of the trains and they would fall off. And Howard would be like, okay, enough of this. We have to
No,
stop.
that I remember that. I remember that story. I mean, I mean, again, these are young guys. No different than they are today. 18, 19,
No.
20-year-old people in a lot of cases. They're away from home for the first time. They're they're dousing their memory, their bodies in alcohol because it's just the
Yep.
trauma dealing with this stuff. I mean, it's amazing when you look at some of the Civil War stuff that came out of this that isn't really as much popular as people think it is. And we talked about it in the episode. it was the first sexual revolution. It really
Yeah.
was because
Hmm.
women became more independent because they had to. It took them out of the
Yeah.
Victorian era role, and that it got that ball rolling that led right to the 19th Amendment with the women's the vote. The other thing too is it was the first time in American history where it was a drug epidemic.
Yep.
After the war, people were addicted to morphine, other pain drugs from the battles and stuff like that. So that was a big thing too. And so it began that whole thing, trying to how to deal with the opioids, how to deal with that. So a lot of things about society you don't really think about came out of this war too. You know.
Yep. Yep. Noel says Shiloh's a really neat battlefield. Take a Starkmiller tour. He does the Confederate side of the battle, concentrating on the Old Miss alumni in the war. You'll love it. We'll have to do that once we get to Shiloh.
Oh yeah.
And Jeffrey said, he asked if your volunteering was affected. So yes, you are furloughed for now. But he
Oh, I'm
said,
furloughed. I'm on the
yeah, but
sideline. Yeah, we got an email the other day from our boss over there, basically saying, yeah, because we're theoretically unpaid National Park Service employees, so we can't. I was supposed to be there all day yesterday. I was supposed to be at Dunkard Church in the
yeah.
morning, the cornfield in the afternoon, and then we get the thing saying you guys are out. So
Yeah,
so
but he said he was very impressed with Antietam and the condition of it. He felt transported back to 1862.
yeah, they came last weekend, him and his wife, and we talked for a little bit. And I think I could be wrong, but I think that was their first trip to Antietam. I think
Mm.
maybe I gotta remember. I thought that's what he said. But Antietam is great because you can visit
Yeah,
these places, and there are either there's not a lot of rangers, but there are a lot of volunteers. And what we
yeah,
do is how it works is we sign up for a specific location where we want to do it. And I've done a whole bunch of different ones, but I happened to be at Dunker last weekend, and he came in. So but you can do that in almost every spot of all the auto tours uh, that you stop. There's usually someone like myself or somebody else who's there to help answer questions about that specific
yeah,
area. And that's where the park is really losing with this shutdown, unfortunately. And so hopefully that
yeah,
this ends pretty soon. But our volunteer schedule ends in October. So I'm realistically speaking, there's a good chance I'm done for the year until next year. So we'll see.
yeah. And yeah, he said it was his first trip there, and they went to Harper's Ferry as well.
Harper's Ferry is awesome.
Yeah,
We went to Harper's Ferry and we went over to Shepherdstown yesterday. We kind of swung around that way through heading back towards Sharpsburg on the way home yesterday. But there's a lot of cool areas out there too.
there are.
Harper's Ferry, I mean, it's such a vast area. And we were saying this yesterday, and anybody who's been there probably knows too. There is not a worse place to defend
Oh no.
than Harper's Ferry. And when you stand there and you're just driving in and you look and you see this little town surrounded by these Loudon Heights, Bolivar Heights, and Maryland Heights, all surrounding it. Like, obviously, they put it there because the confluence of the Shenandoah and the Potomac rivers. But you cannot ask for a worse place to defend. If you can get the guns up there, which again, you sit there and you look and go, how the hell did McLaws get his guns up here? But they did. And once they got them up there, the game was over. It really,
Yeah,
really was. Bolivar was easy because you can come from the Northwest. But Maryland Heights, getting those guns up there is just fascinating. But
yeah.
it's just a great, beautiful visit. It's like a movie set.
Hmm.
But it's real. It's like a bigger version of Appomattox.
Yeah, yeah. And just saying to how Jeffrey said that he felt transported back to 1862. I would say the same about Chickamauga. You will feel like you're transported back to 1863 on the Chickamauga battlefield because it's that well preserved. The Chattanooga sites, not so much. Some of them are in not so nice areas in like Missionary Ridge area and all that. Lookout Mountain, Point Park does it's not really where the battle was fought, is it?
Which one?
Point Park. That's not where
No,
Lookout.
no. The battles fought a little. We went to go visit the 137th monuments in the
Yeah,
halfway up. That park is up there. It's a great vista. They put the guns up there. They put the statue. They put the big monument up there. But the battle took place on the lower slope of it.
yeah,
So in between Point Park and the river, there's that little area where you can pull over. We visited that. Remember how foggy it was that day?
yeah. I love that.
It's
It
it's a
looked,
it's a great area. But if you haven't been to Chickamauga or Chattanooga, it's a place you got to go. Chattanooga is an amazing, amazing town. It just
yeah,
is, as far as restaurants, as far as all that stuff, where you can
yeah.
really, really enjoy it.
Remember that waitress we had at the brewery or the bartender?
No, which one was that?
She was fun. She was the one kept calling you Alioli Man.
You call me what?
You had Ali. alioli or something on your burger or whatever. I don't know. And she kept,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that vaguely
that
now.
was the one where that woman was trying to pick up everybody in the bar too.
I got a back massage from her. Worth it.
She grabbed your butt and she like rubbed my back and asked if I had a cigarette. I was like, no, I don't.
Any port in a storm, Mary.
That was weird.
No,
She's like, hi, do you have a cigarette? And she starts rubbing my back. And I'm like, no.
no, no. She, yeah. Different, interesting cats there as well. But it's a great place to go, and it's got fantastic restaurants and bars. And it's such a pretty area because a mountain hangs over you wherever you go. You look over your shoulder, you see
Yeah.
Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a cool place to go, no
Yeah.
question.
AQ mentions when she was at Harper's Ferry a couple weeks ago, she went to the monument to for Private Luke Quinn and his grave, first Marine killed during Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry.
Yeah, and there's a handful of battles that took place at Harper's Ferry. I mean, uh, when Joseph E. Johnson gave it up, I remember, some of the Confederate soldiers being so livid
Yeah.
that they would possibly give it up. But again, I think it was A.P. Hill who said, "I'd rather defend this. I'd rather attack this place 20 times than defend it once," or something. That quote he has.
Yeah.
And if you've been there, you know it's completely undefensible,
Yeah.
completely.
Hmm.
And that was the only time in the Maryland campaign of 1862 where the Confederates pulled people out and sold them back to slavery.
Yeah.
The free people who lived there,
Yeah.
that I could find anyway. Gettysburg, they did it early, but for Maryland, that was the one time they did it. It was where kind of the dark parts of the Battle of Harper's Ferry that in Maryland campaign that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah. Well, that's tough history, but it's history. It needs to be talked about.
That is true.
You can't, let me use a terrible phrase, whitewash it.
No,
It's there.
true. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's like
It's
somebody was paying attention to Birth of a Nation last night. No,
that
this is
is I was going to recommend it to my brother for him and my dad to sit down and watch. No, I'm like, do I?
like I was saying a little while ago. We watched a portion of the 1915 original Birth of a Nation movie last night because it was on YouTube. We found it, put on the TV. It, it's just a tough watch, but as far as cinematography goes, the Civil War scenes are really cool, and it's just
Yeah.
every movie that everyone's dead is just kind of weird for me. It always has been. It was
Yeah.
a lot like The General that we saw, that movie,
Buster
but
Keaton.
obviously it's got a lot. It's a much darker.
Darker. It's so dark.
Yeah.
It's, I was like, whoa, this is enough for tonight.
Remember that one scene where the guy comes home, he's the Confederate flag, and he has a little kid. He gives it to the girl, and she goes all excited. She's got the
I know. I
flag.
was
I was
like,
like,
ugh.
I was like,
I was
oh my
like,
god. But it's pretty funny. So we'll see what happens.
Jeffrey says he's hitting off to pregame and jump through some tables. Go Bills.
Oh, I hope the Pats beat them tonight. The Bills got one more year in the Patriots. The Patriots catch them. If the Pats get them tonight, that'll be so friggin' funny. Bills are pretty good though. They do, but they have no defense, so they're gonna fail in the end. But as usual, but it's okay. But
I
football's
just hope
fun.
my fantasy team does well today.
Yeah, your fantasy team, like our friend Jim's, lost all your players to injury.
I know my
Which is still all right.
quarterback, Lamar Jackson, got taken out. So I've got what's his name from the Bucks?
Oh, you got Baker Mayfield. Yeah, there you go.
Baker Mayfield.
Mhm. You know what's coming up for us pretty soon, Mary? We're going to be doing our Halloween episode.
We are. Yeah.
People like that one. People like ghost stories, especially this time of year. Although I hate the phrase spooky season. So somebody needs to stop that.
Spooky season.
All right, it's spooky season.
God. Right up there with adulting and I Did a Thing.
Oh yeah, those got to go away. But hopefully this shutdown ends here pretty soon. Because I know a lot of our Ranger friends are kind of
Yeah.
stuck in the middle,
Yeah. It's a tough situation. I mean, volunteering is like, I know you were disappointed, but it's like you have a job, that
right.
you
I
work
don't
at.
rely on it. And these Rangers, I mean, then there was a group of people yesterday, and I think some of them were probably Rangers who had signs out support the National Park
Yep.
Service at Harper's Ferry yesterday, and I gave them the thumbs up and the fists, all that. But again, they don't make a lot of money. We're not talking
No.
about guys with this big 6-figure job,
No.
and they go out there and they have a great job. But I mean, when you start losing paychecks
Yeah.
beyond your control, um, it's really bad. We know a couple in
Yep.
it's a tough spot. It really is. And anytime especially when you see people losing income and going through struggles financially or
Yeah.
psychologically because of stupid measuring contest crap. It's just not worth it. You can't lose sight of the big picture, you know?
Yeah, no, and so hopefully it ends soon. And but I mean, like you can still drive around Gettysburg and stuff. There's obviously nothing ranger related going on. You can still hire a licensed battlefield guide to take you around the battle. I do know the National Cemetery is closed though, so
Yeah,
and
I
I think
mean,
they do that because there's been vandalism recently at Gettysburg, and they don't
well,
want anything to
they
get
still
vandalized in there.
the enforcement and safety rangers are still there.
Yeah,
So you can't go on the battlefield in the middle of the night and go ghost hunting. You can't do. They'll still get you if you do that. But as far as the interpretive rangers, people like that, um, they're the ones who are stuck, and that's what stinks about it too.
yeah,
And not just here at Gettysburg. Obviously, there's rangers everywhere, even small. But our friend who works over at Catoctin.
yep,
I mean, it's not a huge, very visited site compared to say Gettysburg, but you know, it's just as important. You
yeah,
want to go up. You want to go up there and be able to support these people. So hopefully, when this whole thing ends, if you have the ability to go visit a battlefield, please do
yeah,
and go thank a ranger because they put a lot of work in, and you'd be amazed how much time and effort they put in their own time for this
yeah,
job. So they deserve to be credited. They really do. It
yeah,
just the whole thing just sucks. But you know,
yeah. It does. But yeah, our Halloween episode will be dropping. We're recording it on the 15th, so it'll drop after that. So that's exciting. Recording it on a Wednesday night with
mhm,
Jay Price.
that'll be a good time. We've got all this stuff coming out too. But it's nice to be able to get in that swing of things. And October will be a busy month for us for traveling. We've got a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
going on as well. So we'll be able to deal with all this stuff too. You
Yeah.
know.
I guess we should get ready to jump off because we got
Yeah, it's almost eleven
things to
thirty.
do.
We try to keep these an hour and a half, so we'll jump off. We've got the very exciting world of grocery shopping to do,
Yep.
Mary. Try to watch some football. Pats don't play till tonight, so we have some time to kill. So
Yeah.
so we got some stuff coming up. We have to schedule a roundtable soon.
Yes, we do.
We
Yeah.
have
We
to
haven't
that
done one
please.
in a long time. So hopefully we'll get that scheduled soon once our
Yeah, it's been
schedules kind of cool down a little bit.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be busy with this with normal life. If we could just do this full time, imagine how much fun it'd be. Didn't have regular jobs and have to have real responsibilities.
Made millions. Yeah.
We need to, you need to play win the lottery so I could be a
God.
stay at home Darren.
Stay at home, Darren.
You know, um, but it's pretty funny though.
Charlotte asked, are these Zoom calls every Sunday? It just depends, Charlotte. Sometimes we do them on a Saturday, sometimes we do them on a Sunday. If we're not able to do them on a Sunday or a weekend, then we usually do them midweek. Like, I don't know if we're going to be on here next Saturday or Sunday because we are at Penn State next Saturday with our friend Mark.
That's right. We're going to Penn State football. I'm sure that'll end well.
Yeah.
That whole thing that thing fell apart pretty quickly. But
You were
yeah,
playing Mark's therapist last night, weren't you?
yeah, it was. It was. It was like me during the baseball playoffs. You know. No, we try to do these either Saturday morning or Sunday morning. It used to be on Saturday mornings for the longest time.
Yeah.
Life happens, we switch it. Every so often we'll do them during the weeknights, but we try to do them on the weekends.
Yeah.
So we'll try to do this. Maybe we'll do it again next Sunday.
Probably next Sunday. If we're going to do one, it'll have to be Sunday.
So to answer your question, yeah, we'll probably do this again next Sunday. It's fun to do. So hopefully people can check out the episode we did on Antonia Ford and Laura Ratcliffe, because I think it's an important study. And like we say many times, the sweet spot with history isn't with the Lees or the Jacksons or the Meads or the Grants. It's for the people like Ford and the people like Ratcliffe and the people like that, the regular citizens who fought for whatever they fought and believed in, because we can resonate with them. We can understand the plight of any of these people. The soldiers who fought for the Second Massachusetts with Mudge, the people who fought for who, and that's what's cool about it. So hopefully, it looks forward to, you know.
Yeah. Adam says he's looking forward to a future Darren-led Antietam tour. I was at the recent anniversary for the all-day hikes. Loved every minute of it. Minute of it. Didn't care for the rain.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We'll definitely get to do that. But it's unfortunate that they plan that all year and then it rains the whole day. It's just. I know a lot of people had fun, and some of my friends who were there who helped run it were basically like, just when you thought the rain was going to stop, it came again. But again, it's one of those. But everyone had a good time. Everyone had fun. So yeah, we'll definitely look forward to getting back out to that. So hopefully we'll get this whole thing ends. We can get back out to doing the battlefields here pretty soon. So, all right. So why don't we jump off? We'll get done with this. We'll finish this up. So, next episode's to be determined as far as the dates. I know the next one we're recording, I think, is the Halloween one, right?
Yep, on the 15th. Yep.
All right, so we'll do that, and then we'll do another one later in the month as well. We'll figure that stuff out and get that out on the old agenda. So, any final words from you, Mary, as we head off on a Sunday
Nope.
after a beautiful fall Sunday? It's so nice out.
Thanks everybody for the positive support and for joining us today and for listening and just being awesome people. Darren and I love coming on here and seeing your comments and talking with y'all and all that. And we will schedule a roundtable soon. So thank you for all the support. And thank you, Darren,
Definitely.
for being awesome co-host.
I do the best I can, Mary.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a 100% pay raise next year again,
Yep.
for the fifth consecutive year.
Yep.
Right? Absolutely. And as you will too. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go Patriots, Mary. Hope we get a
Yep.
win today.
Go
We'll see what
Pats.
happens. Not confident.
See y'all later.